mean, if you haven't heard it, then you're not ready.
What is it, Beta? What album?
Oh, how do I introduce this?
I didn't even write down notes for it. I'm like, yeah, this is it.
This is one of the greatest landmarks in popular music. This is...
Hey guys, welcome back to Song Theory, a podcast mainly talking about the world of music and the topics within. We're going to be covering a lot of our favorite artists, albums, songs, and genres. And today's episode, we cover 3 albums that turned 50 years old this year. It has been a while though.
Yeah.
How long has it been?
Since what?
Since we last dropped the episode 1.
Like February?
Really?
Yeah.
We've been slacking. Yeah, sorry guys. It's just been really busy, like school, work, Corona. Yeah, life.
You know how it be.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you guys are busy too. I hope everyone's doing well and alive and still listening to music.
Always. Got to.
I mean, I know that we have been. There has been a lot of releases out. As of the recording right now,
like what came out since we last dropped?
Yeah. Oh, Brockhampton album came out. That's what I could remember.
Yeah. And then the Silk Sonic song.
Yes.
Which honestly, I really wish we did a review on. We
will review that soon.
When the album comes out.
Yes. We will wait when that God Tier album will come out.
Yeah. But when that comes out, I'll be on the lookout because I've been waiting so long for them to collaborate. And I already know it's going to be the best album of the year.
Yeah. There's no question.
No.
We're also excited for the J. Cole album. Is it coming out this year?
Bro, it's coming out tonight.
What?
When you guys hear this, I don't know what. I mean, by the time you guys hear this, it'll probably be out already and shit. But yeah, we're recording this right now, May 13th, Thursday. The album drops tonight.
Wait, we should do an episode about this album.
I mean, if you want, we can do that.
Oh, man. I was not aware. Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll probably do an episode of that album.
This is called this year? Tonight.
I didn't know. I was like, holy crap. Oh, man.
He announced it last week, so. Yeah, man. He's out.
Freaking Jermaine.
Cole. Mr. Nice Watch.
Young Simba. Great. We're gonna kick off the second episode on 3 albums that came out in 1971. That 3 albums that we specifically picked out ourselves because
it was very hard. Trying to come together.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, and these are not the only 3 albums that came out that year. But they, in our opinion, are considered the best.
God tier. Just albums that we wanted to bring to high praise because 50 years and these albums that we're reviewing are still held in high regard today. But and one of them is one of the greatest ever made. But all 3 of these are just incredible bodies of work that have stood the test of time. And that's why I really enjoy getting notified that some album, when I see anniversaries of albums, I'm just wow. And they still sound good to this day. So that's kind of the beauty of it.
Exactly. I agree. Also, this is going to be a series. So I'm not really sure. I forgot the dates or the eras or the time length. But from 50 years, I think we might do 40 and then to 30 and then
20, 10.
Yeah.
The 10-year ones, you guys listening you'll know. They're classics to this, they're now regarded as classics, the ones we're going to do.
Yeah, for sure. We actually might do the 10-year a bit. We might not even do it in order, depending on the popularity of the albums. So we actually might do the 10-year or most recent year ones sooner. So stay tuned for that whenever that will be. But yeah, let's get into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so before we start with the 3 albums, I just want to bring up an article that I found from Forbes magazine, or web magazine, Forbes.com. It's just a very general like music discussion that I thought was interesting, and it's very relevant for today. But this guy wrote an article. The title of the article is "Technology is Destroying the Music Industry." All right, and I just thought that was very controversial, that title for an article. So yeah, technology is destroying the music industry. What do you think, Beta? What do you think? It's
Man.
a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. Like, there's definitely been a lot of good since the internet has kind of taken control of just like how music is like processed and consumed. I mean, one thing for sure is that this generation definitely has a shorter attention span when it comes to listening to music now.
hmm
Like I always say, like we're kind of like in a popcorn microwave era where like people have like such short attention spans to the point where like people don't even really enjoy listening to like full bodies of work as much anymore. Like they just want like we're in a singles driven era. We've been in that way since like probably the early 2010s. Once like online platforms like I mean before streaming came out, like iTunes and stuff like that, and just like singles were like saturating the market. But in regards to like music making with technology, I think it's been pretty good because you know a lot of kids are discovering like softwares to use for production, like you know GarageBand, Pro Tools, Ableton. Like a lot of young kids out there are starting to like research on how to make music in a more simplified way. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a subjective topic because you know it definitely has pros and cons. But I think that we're the time we're in right now with technology. I mean, it's been good in my
Yeah,
opinion,
I
but
agree.
it definitely kills the like the way like how like albums are like purchased and consumed because there's definitely controversy on like how streaming affects like the pay grade for artists and stuff like that, and how some artists aren't like paid the right amount of money with certain streams compared to how it was when people bought physical copies of music, whether it's CDs, cassettes, and all that. Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to this situation. It just depends on how you look at it. There's many ways. But yeah, it's definitely something that's been talked about a lot. And it will continue to be talked about because I mean technology and music is not going away at all. This is like the future. So but people definitely like appreciate like how older stuff is raised. I mean, a lot of people are introduced to like older music and how the recording process was back then, and just like how to this day it still sounds good and very refined compared to like how today it's just like super simple to make a beat or how to make a song and all that. But yeah, it just depends on who you're talking to and what generation of person you're talking to.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely a generational thing.
yeah, absolutely.
So further down the article, it says, "So how will technology kill the music industry?" Well, it will simply destroy the record label. The reason is simple. Record labels are a man in the middle that simply does not need to exist anymore. Progression of technology and then our generation learning how to use their own like equipment and learning how to make their own songs at their own home and making their own home studios using like softwares like Beta said, like Pro Tools and GarageBand. Technology won't kill the music industry directly or not its entire state, but I think this aspect of record labels and music studios, I think that will start to dwindle down for
Yeah.
sure. which is like, you know, it's difficult because this is a career, and it will take people out of their, you know, pay wage for sure. But I think that's just the progression of technology. I don't think it's like,
Yeah.
you can't really stop that. It's not bad, you know? And I think that is what technology is going to do to music.
I mean, it's definitely what it has been doing for sure.
Yeah. You know, ever since like streaming services for sure.
Yeah.
Also, like Beta said, that it's a generational thing. I feel like older artists hate streaming services. They, you know, like if you go on Spotify, there are some older artists that don't even have their songs up there.
Yeah. But one thing that's the beauty about technology is that you really don't need labels anymore. I mean, because over so many years, we've seen how artists have been like ripped off by labels and stuff, and like how when they sign certain deals, they don't really have the ability to read the fine prints of like all the maneuvers of how much they get paid per sale of albums or whatever. So over the past couple of years, we've definitely seen artists like speak up about just like owning their music and just how they don't really need to sign a deal. They just have to make what they got to do and just put it out and just distribute on certain like online platforms. There's so many out there. So that shift definitely happened like probably around like the mid 2010s. Like once like I would say like probably 2015. That was like a really like pivotal year and like the shift in music, because like Apple Music launched that year, Tidal launched that year too, and I think the RIAA certification company that like distributes like platinum like sales and like gives info on like album sales and stuff.
Mhm.
They made like new rules about like streaming and how a certain amount of streams will lead to this certification or whatever. But while there has been controversy about like how many songs to be streamed get certified, it definitely gives it an advantage for artists to like not really need to sign deals anymore. Just, you know, make what they make, put it on the internet, upload it on whatever streaming service, and then from there it's just how you promote it, I guess. You know, you just have to be like a one-man record label yourself. So I definitely encourage people to go independent, you know.
Definitely. There's more freedom.
Yeah.
And then promotions are really easy now, especially with social media
Yeah.
like YouTube, Instagram, Twitch. Twitch is like really big right now.
Yeah. I mean, one of the issues Twitch had was like certain streamers couldn't like play music because of like DMCA stuff, copyright stuff. It happens all the time.
That is true. You just have to play your own music. I know like musicians and like famous artists go on Twitch now. They even just like sometimes they just play video games, which is really funny. So that's always good. You promote, you know, yourself, and you also connect with your fans really easily. Connection with fans are so much easier now, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Technology. What do you think? Overall consensus, technology isn't really destroying music industry?
I mean, it definitely has its downfalls for sure, but in the past couple of years, in the 2010s and onward, it's definitely seen some positives. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's just kind of depends who you're talking to. But there's definitely been some good and some things that can be worked on in the future, which I'm sure will happen. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think in like the next decade or 20 years from now, there probably won't even be labels anymore. In my opinion. But I just think everything is just going to be like just through the artists themselves. And I hope that like people pay attention to that because it's really important.
Yeah, that is really important. That'd be cool without labels. It would be weird because we're just so used to it. You know?
Oh, yeah. But, you know, as time moves on, things change.
Yeah.
So not everything stays the same forever, but we shall see what happens.
All right, let's move on to the 3 albums that we picked for the 50-year anniversaries. We got some 3 heavy hitters, so we're just gonna go with Al Green first. Gets Next to You.
Yup. Yes, sir.
Came out
August 14th, 1971.
1971.
Yes, sir.
3rd album of his.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts, Beta. What do you think of this album?
This album was kind of the beginning of Al Green's prolific run that he had. I mean, because around this time, before 71, I mean, because Memphis music has a really rich history.
Mm-hmm.
And before this time, after the death of Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, because Sam Cooke passed in 64 and then Otis died in 67. So after 67, Memphis didn't really have like an upcoming male singer that could deliver as soulfully as Sam and Otis did, because those are like 2 like goats, you know. Their music is revered heavily. So around this time, you know, Al Green was kind of trying to like come into his own, but he was sounding a little bit too much like Sam Cooke in some of his earlier stuff and Jackie Wilson. But once like 1970 comes, he starts to like form his own sound a little bit, and he pretty much like created like a world of its own, and Gets Next to You is pretty much the beginning of that signature sound that Al Green is like so recognized for. Cause like once you hear Al Green's song, even before he starts singing, like you just know, like he has like that distinct like horn section that he has in all of his songs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how like this where this album like came to be. Like that's just like the beginning of his signature style. And from that point on, like the rest of his discography was just like, just from that decade in the 70s was like incredible. And this album was definitely the fire to that flame, definitely.
So this is his like first successful album.
Yeah. Once this dropped, he became like, because this drop and then 72 was Let's Stay Together, which is we know, yeah. So
yeah, we know.
This point on, yeah. From this point, yeah, this was like the beginning of his legacy for sure. Yeah, prior to this album, he dropped an album called Green is Blues. And he had like a lot of like blues elements in this album. It was like a creative blend of Memphis soul, but like I said, he tried sounding a lot like Sam Cooke a little bit and some like of his other contemporaries. But when this album came out, he, like I said, created like that signature sound. He had like incredible horn section. He had the Hodge Brothers, which was a group of producers. And he had like these incredible drummers. I think one of the drummers he had was from Booker T and the MGs, I think.
Al Jackson Jr.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he drummed on this album a lot.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, he's everywhere. That guy's everywhere. Al Jackson Jr. is actually in the next album we're gonna cover, guys. So he'll be a reoccurring character. But yeah, like Beta said, it's his first successful album. Let's get on to the track list.
Track 1, I Can't Get Next to You, classic Al Green tune. It's one of his great hits. Originally, it's a Temptations song.
Mm-hmm.
The Temptations version is a little bit more fast paced, which is it's still a good record, but Al Green's cover is like, it's just so good.
Yeah,
It's slower, like it just has a better groove to it, The horn section's killer, and just like the way the drums kind of like drag the song, just give it like a hypnotic feel to it. And just the background vocals are amazing. And yeah, it has such an iconic like sound to it, from like the chorus and just yeah, everything.
I remember like in the middle of the song, he started doing like a little like a shout, but it was like a really high pitched shout, like a James Brown shout, you know,
Yeah.
which was like really really good. But yeah, throughout the album, he starts to do that, which in comparison to his previous album of what is it called, Green and Blues or something.
Yeah.
I think he started to implement that throughout the songs, which like is really good in contrast to his very soulful voice.
Yeah.
It definitely wakes you up for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, first track, what a great way to start off the album.
Yeah, he came out swinging.
Another song that I really liked on this album was I'm a Ram.
Yes. Yeah.
That song is good. What do you think?
Yeah, that one's probably one of my favorites. They showcase like the rhythm section that he had on this album. You know, they flexed like everything on there. And yeah, that track is definitely like a textbook example of just like that Memphis soul sound. From the vocals, the organ, you know, the horn and guitar parts, they all just like act out in a very great mid-tempo groove. And
It's very
yeah,
groovy.
it's insane. Go revisiting this, yeah, like it's definitely one of my favorites. That one and track 3, God is Standing By.
Mm.
Yeah. That one was amazing.
God is Standing By. Is that like a gospel tune?
Yeah. It's like he just kind of like speaks about like his connection to the church and stuff without being like super preachy or anything.
That's cool. Okay. It really stands out the track list because all of them are like, you know, looks like soul like track names, and then just number 3 is God is Standing By.
Just like how on a certain amount of his songs, he just talks about like his connection to God. And if you just like look at the trajectory of his career, it just kind of like leads to like how he became like a reverend and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like how much like gospel elements he has in his music as well, even before he became a reverend.
Gospel music.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, gospel is like the root of like a lot of how these singers from this time period would sing, because obviously they grew up in the church, so they started off singing gospel or whatever. But yeah, that's what led to great legends such as Al Green and a lot of others.
Yeah. Gospel is also going to be a recurring theme in this episode because next album is going to be heavily gospel influenced, which I cannot wait.
I know.
But before we move on to that, should we talk about, you know, the main song on this album?
Are you talking about track 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the song that really solidified him, man.
Yeah, bro. Every time, yeah. This is track 4, Tired of Being Alone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Everyone knows this song. I would say this. Would you say this is his second most famous? You know, just behind "Let's Stay Together."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this song, "Let's Stay Together," "Love and Happiness." Yeah, that's like his biggest like 3 songs. I mean, when Tired of Being Alone came out, it was his biggest song to date for sure. I think it was like in the top 10 in the pop singles chart when it came out.
In my notes, close 11. Yes, 11.
Okay.
Very close.
But yeah, this was his biggest hit to date at the time, and yeah, this track really just solidified him as a composer and arranger, songwriter.
Because he did write it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is really cool.
But yeah, the opening guitar, the horns. Oh my God. Yeah, it just puts you in a good place immediately. Like whenever I would hear this song growing up, like it just like I loved it. It just gave me the warm like feeling every time.
Yeah.
And it just kind of washes over you. And yeah, Green on this song, he manages like to position himself sounding vulnerable, but yet like his vocals were like so strong and like endearing, you know?
Exactly. I agree.
But yeah, this song is just, it's never felt dated at all. It just, as time and time goes on, it's just like it's a soul classic. So this was definitely a high point in his career with this album and just this single in particular, and just many other singles that he had afterwards. But this was like, it was something else. I mean, this body work is like, it's pretty much a great introduction to his discography. It's definitely a moment when most artists begin an impressive streak of creativity that just kind of like separates them from the rest of their peers. And yeah, I mean, just around this time, it was just like, you know, you had Stevie Wonder, you had Marvin Gaye, you had Motown. You just had so many other artists that were just like kind of doing their own like renditions of soul and just adding their own unique styles to it. Yeah. But yeah, with Memphis, Tennessee, yeah, their roots in soul music is amazing. I mean, you have Al Green, Willie Hutch, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, like I said before, Johnny Taylor, and it's a huge list. Yeah, Memphis soul is like unmatched.
But yeah, overall, an amazing album, and that is why we picked it third for our 3 albums with the 50-year anniversaries. But on to the second one, is probably my favorite out of the 3. But you know, second is a good position for it because the first one is just incredible.
Yeah.
But personally, I love this album. But yeah, this is Donny Hathaway's self-titled album. Came out April 2nd, 1971.
Mm-hmm.
His second overall album. Before that was Everything is Everything. Yeah, overall great album. Previously I said that the second album is gospel influence, and this is that album. It's very gospel. You know, because of the soul artist Donny Hathaway, who has an incredible voice.
One of the greatest like ever.
Yeah. In my opinion, he's a little underrated for sure. I think he should be really up there. But, you know, I think it's probably because of his early passing that really like people kind of forget about him, which was unfortunate.
And plus like the struggles that he had personally, which not a lot of people know. His story definitely needs to be told. Hasn't really been told properly yet.
We need a movie.
Yeah, or a documentary or something.
Yeah, and I would for sure watch that. But yeah, throughout this album, like I said, it was very gospel oriented. A lot of piano ballads. He was just playing a lot of piano. Has a very dark and somber feel. Loneliness, I guess.
Yeah.
An empty room with just a guy playing his piano. I mean, there were other instruments because it was a studio.
It's very intimate sounding.
Very intimate. It gave that impression really well, which I really admire, and that's why I always come back to this album over and over again. Yeah, what do you think of the album?
Yeah, everything you said was like pretty spot on. Just like how emotional a lot of these songs are. Just how from the heart they felt when he was recording them. And of course, like A Song for You is probably like one of the greatest piano ballads ever made.
Yes.
Yeah, so that song was originally by an artist named Leon Russell, which was recorded in 1970. And it's been covered by a lot of artists for sure, but like Donny's version is just like that song became like just like the standard cover that everyone listens to.
Yeah, it just fit, you know?
It did, yeah. And he maximizes the song's emotional and melodic potential so much to the point where like it feels like his version is like the actual version.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people like know that it was covered. It was a cover from a different artist. Because during this time period, like artists did covers of each other's songs so much, and some got more popular than the original. Whenever like a bigger artist did a cover of a smaller artist's song. But yeah, this case is one of those examples. So, and the song's been used in like movies and shows. And I remember like I remember someone performed this song on America's Got Talent one time.
Oh.
It was like a couple of years ago. And it was actually really good. But anyways, yeah, that song is like one of his defining moments for sure.
Very influential song for someone to just sing it at American Idol. I actually listened to the original one by Leon Russell. It was aight. It wasn't like Donny Hathaway, you know. It was a faster tempo.
Yeah.
And it kind of almost felt happier. But like I said before, he actually made this song he sang it in a slower tempo, and it sounded very longing, and like he was in a state of like lament, you know. It was just
exactly
aesthetic to the song.
Yeah, it just it creates that feeling. When you hear it, it's just, you'll know.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to note on that feeling of the album in general. I found a review of this album that there's a sentence on here that the writer said that really like captured it, like really defined the album better than I can. It says, "Still, whereas Everything is Everything saw him leading the choir up in the front of a church, Donny Hathaway, you know, the self-titled album, sounds like the lament of a man alone in the sanctuary after services are finished." And I just thought that was really cool, how the comparison of that.
That's actually like a good description.
Yeah, when I read it, I started like yelping. I was like, this is a really good, damn, dude.
Yeah.
Someone write that down, because that was really good.
Dude, it's really good.
Yeah, and for you guys who don't know, Everything is Everything is the previous album. Yes. Which is a more different feel. But yeah, I would say, yeah, Song for You is, you know, the most famous song out of all of them. Other songs that were good, the first track, Giving Up, it's a cover by by Donny Hathaway. It's a cover of Gladys Knight and the Pips. I think it was originally sung by them. It's more up-tempo for them, and then in this one, he did more of a gospel feel, which sounded great. A good, like, song to start. Little Girl, which is the third track, originally written and sung by Billy Preston, and there's, like, a male choir in the background that repeat Little Girl numerous times. It sounds great.
I love that part, yeah.
And I think in the middle or towards the end, there's an organ solo, which is very gospel, very church. Oh my God, sorry, I forgot. Track 4, guys, I think this is my favorite track out of all of them. This is He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother.
The song is incredible.
A really underrated song.
It's so good.
It's a ballad. I'm not really sure about the original. We know that it was written before. It's a cover. We know it was written by someone else. There's a band in the 60s called the Hollies. They're not soul. They're like rock. But they sang this, and it was a hit for them. In the late 60s. I'm not sure.
Like 68, 69.
Yes. And then, Donny Hathaway comes in and just bodies it.
Yeah, he takes it and just makes it, like, literally this song sounds like Ascension,
Yeah, the buildup is crazy.
Oh my God. I remember when we listened to this together.
Yeah, I showed him this song, and was it at McDonald's parking lot?
It was in some parking lot.
We were eating. No, it was it was Silver Platters, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, somewhere. And yeah, you played it for me, and I was like floored.
Yeah. The reason why we love this song is because his vocal runs are really good. It starts off on a really low note, he just pronounces his words and he just delivers it really clearly. And his voice and his low notes in his voice are just very powerful, which is really hard because it's a low note, you know, lower frequency.
Yeah, his vocal registers were like second to none.
And it just came so naturally for him.
You can go low, he can like low riffs, high riffs, or whatever. And he perfectly exemplifies that in this song, many others. But this one in particular is just like, it's just so authentic. It's insane.
A little backstory. This song is, we don't know who actually wrote it, but it came from a story, it came from a book. Yes, book from 1884. So this is an old story, guys. It's about a little girl who is carrying her baby brother, and along the way, I think she just says, "No, he's not heavy. He's my brother." Someone took that, sentence of the story and just made it a song, which is really cool. Throughout the song is a build up, and also Donny Hathaway, he plays piano. If you guys don't know, he does a lot of piano sweeps. You like arpeggiate on the keyboard. Sorry, this is like music talk. If you guys don't, it's like when you slide your finger down on the keyboard and it goes from high to low.
Yeah.
But he does it very frequently and effortlessly, and it just fits. It just fits in the song. So I would definitely recommend listening to this. It's just like Beta said, it's Ascension.
Yeah,
it's up there, man. Oh, and we cannot forget. I'll just add this. I'm not really sure. I don't think it was even in the original release. Yeah, it says bonus track on CD, but we'll add it. This Christmas, it was a bonus track on this album. Not on vinyl, but it was on CD. We'll count it. You guys know This Christmas. It's like it's on every radio station.
it's the best Christmas
Yeah, not gonna lie, yeah.
ever.
It's so good that sometimes I don't even listen to it during Christmas. I just treat it like a normal soul song, which
Yeah.
people hate. People are like, "Why are you listening to Christmas music?" And I'm like, "It's soul music, not Christmas music." um, but yeah, overall, amazing album. What do you think, Beta?
Personally, I think his 1973 album is his best album, Extensions of a Man. But this album for sure definitely was like the mark of just like an incredible but short-lived run he had. But yeah, this album definitely personifies just how his work ethic was, basically. And yeah, just his style, his energy and just his discography is so beautiful. And there'll never be another person like him, because just every song he just gave you a specific emotion that you would feel like heavy when you heard him. But yeah, this album is just it's a classic.
So yeah, that was our second choice for the three albums we picked. On to number one. Oh boy.
The greatest of all time.
You guys aren't ready for this. You guys might be. You guys might know, but still.
I mean, if you haven't heard it, then you're not ready.
What is it, Beta? What album?
Oh, how do I introduce this?
I didn't even write down notes for it. I'm like, yeah, this is it.
This is one of the greatest landmarks in popular music. This is Marvin Gaye's What's Going On,
A masterpiece.
his 11th studio album, released May 21st, 1971. So in a week from today, it'll be exactly 50 years.
Oh, we should celebrate
Yes.
by playing by playing it. Yeah.
I mean, I celebrate this album every day, so
One thing I want to say, this album is, even though it was released 50 years ago, it's incredible how it's still relevant.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, during this time, just the transition from like the late 60s to early 70s, you had the Vietnam War, you had Nixon being elected into office,
Hmm.
and just all of these protests and um, riots were happening in like inner cities. I like the 1969 Watts riots in Los Angeles, and just a lot of like racial like driven like protests that were happening during this time period. And Marvin Gaye at this time, before this album, he was doing a lot of love songs and like bubblegum pop songs from Motown. You know, because the 60s was just like, was when Motown was just like at its forefront. And they were just doing a lot of songs that were written by other artists. You know, you had Marvin, you had the Supremes, the Temptations, Jackson 5 were, I think they were out at this time too, late 60s. The Four Tops, you had Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and they were just flooding the market with all these doo-wop songs, soul songs, and just like songs that to play at like juke joints or just for like people to have a good time too. But around this time, you know, Marvin was going through a heavy transition in his life. He was just like kind of pretty much seeing the world as it really was, and his brother at this time was fighting in the Vietnam War, and he like was sending him letters like every month or so, just talking to him about how he was feeling and just his perception of like what he was seeing during the war and just like what's happening to like all the black soldiers and stuff. And that in itself was just like heavy inspiration for him to write this album. And just everything from, like I said, like social inequality and all that was going on then and how it reflects it today. And that's just kind of what led to this album in as a whole. And the way this album starts, yeah, this is the first song. It's the title track, What's Going On. Bro, this track right here is just I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah.
It's the most cathartic, most healing song I've ever heard in my life. I think the first time I heard this song was like I was really young. I think my dad played it in the house one time.
Mm.
And just like from the intro to the little like 4-bar saxophone solo, and just the way the bass comes in and the guitar riff, and just like oh my god, when the sax comes in, like I literally like I almost cry every time.
Yeah.
Just the emotion that it strikes is like he didn't even have to sing yet, and just the way it hits is like you're about to hear like one of the greatest like compositions of music in the world. But yeah, what this song is just basically him just talking about the issues that America was facing at this time period. It just really stood the test of time. And it's so good. And how he kind of uses like elements of like family in this song, like lyrics like brother, brother, like all that. And just these like brother, mother, sister, father, like war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate, and all these lyrics. And it's so good. And just like the way the string arrangements in the song, how it builds up during like the second part. And it's like such an out of body experience every time I listen to this song. It's unreal. And it literally just like the way it sounds, it just sounds like it was recorded like recently, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this
it
was
sounds very
recorded,
modern.
yeah,
Yeah, that's just the original Motown studio, which is like a house in Detroit.
yeah, Hitsville, USA. And it's crazy because I remember reading about this a long time ago, just like the making of this album. And when he presented it to, so when he finished the song, he presented it to Berry Gordy, who's the founder of Motown. And when he presented it, Berry Gordy was like, "Nah, this is trash."
What? Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Barry Gordy, you're such an asshole.
Yeah, I just remember like Marvin went to him. He approached him with what's going on. He went to him like in LA or something like that. And then Gordy was like he didn't like the song, and apparently he said it was the worst thing he had ever heard.
What?
Yeah, and Marvin was like super mad at him for saying that because Gordy was like, no, we need like some like poppy and like upbeat, like this is not gonna sell. So Gay was angry at that, and he said that he was gonna go on strike and not release any music until Barry would change his mind about it. But Barry said that he just said that the song wasn't necessarily garbage. He just said that this record wouldn't. He just said like it wouldn't sell based on the subject matter he was talking about because artists at this time weren't really doing that. But well, specifically at Motown, I should say. And yeah, on this album, Gay had a lot of creative freedom with it because on previous albums he would just record songs that other people would write for him and produce. And while they were all like massive hits and classics to this day, he wanted to just like showcase his musicianship because he could play multiple instruments and he had like his own like band that he wanted to ignite on this album. And he wanted to like hire string sections and just like make a grandiose sounding record that you could listen to that just sounds like you're really hearing it in like an orchestra theater or something like that. And yeah, so after some time, I think like a couple weeks or so, I think Gordy just decided to release it. And
Man, I'm glad he did.
yeah. And yeah, upon its release, the song became one of Motown's fastest selling singles of all time. And it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 100, I believe.
Number 2? Who was number 1?
I don't know. Probably Stevie Wonder or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or someone. But yeah, so that was just pretty much the greatest opener to any album ever right there. Just the way it sounds, the messaging behind it, and just like how, like Sam said, how relevant the subject matter is on this song. Not just this song, but just the album in general, because he continues to talk about these subjects in other songs, but conveys like different emotions each time. But yeah, first track, like I couldn't even get past it. I had to play it back so many times. It's it's his crowning achievement, this song. And then in another 50 years from now, it's still going to be, in 1,000 years till infinity, this song will be just the defining moments of like our culture, just as with music. Yeah, man, this song is just cathartic. It's heavenly. It's emotional. It can go from angry to like content and happy when you hear it. And just make you feel like you want to be a different person.
Yeah.
It's just so
life-changing.
Yeah. It's just crazy how a song can do that to you. And that's the emotion he just gave on it. And it's one of my favorite songs of all time and a lot of people's favorite songs, that period. So
I remember you sent me a video, I think it was Questlove, breaking down the
production.
Yeah, and how he mentioned like
just hearing each instrumentation like on its own. It was so cool.
I think he said like it felt like an entirely different song with each
Yeah.
instrument.
Exactly. I wish I had that access, bro.
Yeah, I've been trying to
Oh
find
my
it.
god. If I could have access to like the vaults of these songs and just hear each instrument on its own. But yeah, that video is great. He just like, to the people listening, yeah, Questlove from The Roots. He just had access to one of the songs. He had access to the song "What's Going On," and he like broke down like each instrumentation part on the song, from the bass to the guitar to the conga drums, the piano, the background vocals, and just each element on its own just sounded like just individual songs basically. And then when you just bring it all together, it's just like a masterpiece. And yeah, just the work put into it was worth it. It was amazing. But yeah, I mean, when he was making this album, Marvin basically, I think it's in an interview that he just wanted to reevaluate his concept of what he wanted to say in his music, and just said that all the situations he was experiencing with his family, his brother being overseas, and just everything that was happening in communities, he said that he realized that he wanted to write songs that would just actually reach the souls of people and want them to take a look at what's going on. Hence the title. Yeah, and this album was just like the beginning of his God-tiered era that he embarked on. Because after this album, he continued to drop masterpieces, but this right here was like, this was the beginning of something great.
For the personnel of this album, there's a ton. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, it's huge. The budget must have been insane.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. James Jamerson on bass. If you guys don't know James Jamerson, he is the most... during that time, he was probably like the session drummer, or session bass guitarist, excuse me. And he played everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I found in the background vocals section, I thought this was funny, that there are some athletes in this is really funny. Okay, there's a basketball player named Dave Bing, who at the time was playing for, Detroit. But I thought that was funny. And then there's a few football players here. So,
well, also, I don't think you know, but there was a point like a year or so before this album was made that he wanted to play football.
Marvin Gaye?
Yeah.
Wow.
He wanted to play for the Detroit Lions. Yeah. He was really into sports. There's actually, I remember one time I saw on Twitter, there was a picture of him and Jesse Jackson playing basketball together.
Wow.
Yeah. It was from like 1971 or something like that. And they were like playing in like this driveway, and they were like wearing like the athletic wear that in the 70s, like the hella short shirts and the headbands. It was hilarious. But yeah, he was actually really good friends with like people on the Detroit Lions. Like he was a really big football fan and just like sports fan in general. And apparently he recruited them to sing and talk background stuff on the album, which is really cool.
Oh, they could have been the... Yeah, we should talk about it. What is the background chatter and what's going on? Is it...
I think it might have been them.
It could have been them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be.
And the other vocalists that are on here, because there's multiple. There's so many.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. I want to know who did like the weird like noise.
Oh, the... Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah, it's so ingrained in my ear at this point from hearing the song so much.
Yeah, I want to know who did that.
It's so authentic. I love it. It's funny, that sax part in the beginning that I talked about, that part was actually like accidental.
Oh, what happened?
I read it was played by Eli Fountain. He played the sax part in the beginning, and I think he was just like riffing out of nowhere. And then Marvin's like, I don't think you were supposed to do that, but that sounded pretty good. You can just leave that in there. It was something along those lines, but yeah, that part wasn't intended, and he just like riffed those 4 bars, and it just became iconic.
Man, sometimes stuff like Stuff that sound good are just like accidental. Man, yeah. How he added the normal like voice chatter
Mhm.
and what's going on. That's really cool. I thought that was very creative.
It's so good.
I've never really heard that in a older song. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like you said earlier. There's a lot of strings and wood instruments. He had a whole symphony up in this bitch.
Yeah. The symphony on this album was so good.
Yeah, he even had a harp. Wow, he had a harp.
Yeah. He went all out.
He had an oboe. Wow.
Yep. He had every element of music on this.
Other tracks though. Other tracks.
Second track, What's Happening, Brother?
That's a cool like transition, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so the song is dedicated to his brother, Frankie, who was in the army at the time of Vietnam. And he wrote the song to explain like the disillusionment of just like a lot of black soldiers that were in the war. When they came back, they just couldn't readjust to life, like simple life and stuff. And that's always been a huge issue, just like how they don't receive like the therapy or help that they need. And because of this, they go on to like catch drug addictions, and they dealt with dependence on heroin. And this was like a huge crisis during this time period. And he definitely, like, Marvin spoke on that a lot in this song. And just like that song title, What's Happening, Brothers, like not only to like his actual brother, but just like the term brother to like his fellow peer, or just like people that were affected from like the effects of the war. And I thought it was just beautiful, just the way he laced it all together on this song.
Yes, great song for track two. I do like the transition in between those two tracks.
Like that's one thing I love about these types of albums, just like you want to make sure that each song is interwoven with each other like seamlessly. And that is exactly what he did on here. Like each song is like a continuation of the next, and
Yeah,
when you hear it, it's so good.
it felt like a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's really super cinematic and extremely ahead of its time.
Oh, definitely.
And there's nothing like this before.
And then track 6, Mercy Mercy Me, parentheses, the ecology. Ecology? Yeah. This is a great song as well. I feel like this is the second song of the album that like was pretty popular. There was a beat. It's not a snare, but it's like on the 2 and 4. It sounds percussive. It's actually a wood block struck by a rubber mallet, drenched in studio reverb.
Damn.
So that was really cool. I thought that was really cool. It's just if you guys listen to it, it's very noticeable. It like rings out.
That's a super inventive.
Especially during that time. So that just goes to show like Marvin's creativity.
Yeah, it's super. Just what they did on the song was really good too.
Yes.
But Mercy Mercy Me, he basically addresses pollution and environmental issues on this song. And the song has like a really like happy, like joy sounding feel to it, but like it has like a somber feel at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the subject matter doesn't really reflect it because it's pretty like sad and eye-opening. Just talking about like radiation with like cars and automobiles and just like pollution in the skies, and like how all the animals like nearby, they die from it or whatever. And he sings it in such like a non like, it's not like super preachy, but like it just, the tenderness in it just makes it very endearing. And yeah, and it's definitely, it reflects today 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude,
We've been fighting
climate
this.
change. Yeah,
We've been fighting this for 50 years now.
yeah, even more so.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, talks about oil wasted in the oceans, and just the way he weaves it all together is beautiful. And just the outro on this song is like the last like 2 minutes or like minute and a half, when it's just the instrumental and the sax solo and the strings, and then you hear that choir in the background do that same vocal riff that they did on What's Going On, the song. Oh my god.
Yeah,
It
there's a lot going on.
Like each like elements of each song of this album like intertwine with like those like it's so cool. Like he'll add like songs like certain like elements from what's going on in the song. It'll be used on other songs on the album. So like he'll repeat like the same vocal riffs or the same like choir like patterns or whatever. But yeah, just the way the song ends, it goes from like happy sounding and then like the key changes. And then just like the piano like starts like coming more. And just like the way the vibe changes is extremely like out of nowhere, but it's gorgeous at the same time.
Yeah. A masterpiece of a song and a masterpiece of an album.
Exactly.
One more song on what's going on. Inner City Blues, Beta. Last song on the album, right? I believe.
Yes. Yeah. This song is that's a very fan favorite also. This song is, oh my god. If I was a movie director, I would use this song like in the very beginning.
Okay.
Like I have like a vision. Like this song, like this one thing I love about music is that it's just like it's all feeling. And you can kind of like visualize certain things when you like listen to certain songs. That's what I love about like music and visuals. Like when it comes to like music videos or whatever. But even with songs that like you're just listening to, it just kind of like paints a picture for you based on like what the sound is like. If it's like a somber type of feel, you'll visualize a color that matches with it or whatever, or just like an environment that just matches the sound of that. And this song, just like black and white, just like going through like a city or whatever on like a gloomy day. And yeah, the song Inner City Blues pretty much just talks about issues that go on in the inner city, whether it's like social inequality, people like just crime happening in the streets, and how policing in cities are like at an all-time high at this point, and how like panic is spreading around the world, and how he talks about God like is the only hope of like where humanity is heading if they continue like going through these issues, and how he just like kind of not really preaching to the choir too much, but just in a way that just sounds very like open. And it's just this is the emotion that it brings with everything tied in. It sounds incredibly cinematic, and it's just like an earworm from the somber piano and just the congo noises. And the bass line on this song is probably one of my favorites. Just the way it comes in after like the 16th bar, because at the beginning it's kind of like the piano, then the congos come in, then the chimes, and then the bass line. And then Marvin comes in like does like a little scatting in the beginning, and then just like sings about the subjects that I mentioned that are in this song. And yeah, the way that the album closed out with the song was amazing. And it just it perfectly ties in everything with what message he was trying to come across on this record. And yeah, this is probably my third favorite song on here.
It is a classic.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bongos. We should shout him out. This guy's name is Eddie Bongo Brown. Bongo is his nickname.
And the bassist is Bob Babbitt.
Bob Babbitt.
Yes.
Incredible musicians.
Bass line on there was so good.
But this guy, Eddie, he gets around.
Yeah, he played for a lot of recordings. Gladys Knight, Temptations, Miracles, all of them.
Stevie Wonder too. Wow. Oh, wow. But yeah, that is what's going on. Our number one pick of the 50-year anniversary, 3 albums in 1971. Hope you guys liked it. we sure did. These are like our three most favorite personal picks. Overall, this was a crazy time in the world, but also a lot of amazing artists and albums came out in the early 1970s, which really progressed the music industry and the music world for sure. More specifically, in the genres of like soul and blues and
of course hip hop, because sampling and just
definitely
how they breathe new life into these songs. I remember Jay Dilla sampled one of the songs on here for a song for Common, I think. Yeah, I think it was God Is Love. Yeah, but yeah, this album was monumental, and it still is to this day. And it just marked the emergence of Marvin as a bona fide GOAT. And yeah, this record was just a defining moment in just music, period. Not just black music, not just soul, just music. Just period. And it just has transcended throughout time since it came out. It was just such a huge turning point in just like society as a whole. And I'm really glad that it still gets listened to a lot to this day. And it's just so reflective on the world. It's a staple for like our just like us as a society. It just talks about everything that's going on.
I guess it's not a generational song.
Yeah, it'll transcend future generations. No matter what, music will sound like in the next 50 years, because we don't know. But what I know is it'll still sound as good as it is today and as it is back then.
But yeah, those are our three albums. Before we continue, actually, we kind of have an honorable mention. His album also came out in 1971, but we just wanted to, keep it into three, so it didn't make the cut. It would have been four for sure. But Bill Withers released a song called Ain't No Sunshine in July 1971. The song is obviously very well known, right, Beta?
Oh yeah, people that don't even listen to Bill Withers that much, they know this song.
Iconic drum beat for sure.
Produced by Booker T. Jones from Booker T and the MGs.
Oh wow, Al Jackson Jr. on the drums. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the drums on here are nice, and just the acoustic guitar that Bill plays is gorgeous. It's heartwarming. It's sad. He's just like singing of emotions of endearment, of longing, of how just there's ain't no sunshine when the person that he loves isn't around him. And when the verse comes in and just like those strings come in, oh my God.
What a great like guitarist.
It just gives me chills every time. I know, dude.
R.I.P.
Yeah, this song was definitely a huge staple for Bill Withers' career. And with this song and Lean On Me, yeah. And when he passed away last year, that definitely, it was definitely sad. But yeah, just for those listening, please check out his discography.
Mm-hmm.
He has some of the most beautiful songs like ever.
We'll probably do an episode of him for sure. So yeah, that is three of our albums that we picked, and then an honorable mention. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. It was a tough list that we created. Overall, the 70s were a great year. I think it's my favorite era for sure. Beta, I think it is yours, maybe, right?
It's one of
our favorite eras for sure. A great staple in the music industry. Also, to help you guys with learning about these albums, Beta made a playlist on Spotify to cover all of it.
It's this playlist of just our favorite songs from each of these albums.
We will link it in our Instagram. We have a Song Theory account. Username is just Song Theory Pod. And then just give us a follow. We will link the playlist on our story or just on the bio. Either one.
Yeah, I'll link it on all there.
Yes, you guys will see it. But yeah, just make sure to follow the Instagram. We'll give you updates on what we're doing.
Future episodes and all that. And just stuff that's happening in music or whatever.
Yeah, stuff that we would like you guys to know. For episode 3, stay tuned. We might have something planned. We're not sure. But yeah, episode 3 is coming up. We're thinking of doing this
We're brainstorming.
Yeah, we're brainstorming, and we're thinking of doing Song Theory more frequently, rather than the timeline between episode and episode 2.
Yeah, and just let you guys know, we're still new to this. But yeah, hopefully by summertime, we'll be able to record more frequently and upload on a more consistent level.
Yeah, and hopefully, things will be chill and we'll actually get to record in person. Because guys, we're not recording in person. We're over Zoom. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.